What a cracker of a morning it is too, after a cool, no it wasn't cool, it was very cold night. I think when we got here last night, it was well after dark, just as we were coming in, the thermometer on the car was saying it was -4. I think it only got colder from there. We were just on the cusp last night in bed of, am I cold or not? Just that doesn't happen too often. We bought the good winter sleeping bag as well. Anyway, we're up and about now. Got the fire going. It was the highest priority, second highest priority. Anyway, fire's going. Billy's on. I think it might even have bubbles in it. The lad's still keeping warm in his sleeping bag there, so we'll drag him out shortly and get some breakfast on the go. But yeah, nice coverage of ice. All the puddles are frozen. Grass is covered in ice. Not so bad under the trees here, but out in the open there, a heavy frost you might say. Ooh, it's getting pleasantly warm. Back there, a little bit of warmth in it. Fire's going. A cracker of a day. So we had a bit of a late arrival last night. Didn't do a great deal. Got the fire going, had a cup of tea, and pretty much went to bed. But the plans for today, or the next 2 days actually. So we're going to go for a walk, shoulder the packs, and there's a bit of a hidden gorge down here called Moroka Gorge. Now there's a number of waterfalls on the Moroka River through the gorge. The top falls number 1 if you like, is pretty popular, just a little day walk from the car park here. There's another 3 from memory, another 3, at least 2, maybe 3 falls further down through the gorge, and it's all off track walking. So our plan is shoulder the packs and head in there and camp down in the gorge for the night. I think we're looking forward to it. It was the lad's idea. He's dragged me out here, kicking and screaming I was. Footy season's finished, so we've got our weekends back. So anyway, we're going to cook up a bit of a feed on the fire, probably have another cup of tea or 2, pack down and hit the track. Come along with us. I'm sure you'll see something that most people never will. Just a quick feed of bacon and eggs, put them on a muffin, bacon and egg McMuffin, bacon and egg Morocco muffin. In a minute and the eggs will be ready. Billy's on for another cup, wash it all down. Perfect. How good's that? Looks better than the other one that you can buy downtown. Bacon and egg muffin.
Not bad.
We're dropping it everywhere. This is a pretty amazing bridge. When you think about where we are, it's a long way from anywhere. I don't know, that must be at least 10 metres long, and it's actually a split log, a log that's been split in half, opened up and put in place and made a bridge out of. This bridge was built by a fellow named Kerry Dice, and Kerry was a legendary bush carpenter in his day, and he did some amazing work all over this high country, in the Southern Alps in particular. And this is one of Kerry's legacy bridges. Now this has a lot of weight, a lot of timber, a lot of hard work gone into this. But one of the things you notice, well, maybe most people probably don't notice it, but not only is the log opened up and laid, so you've got the centre of the log facing up, so you've got double the width of the log, but it's actually perfectly aligned. There's no separation, it's perfectly horizontal. It's just an amazing work of art. Now this site would cop a fair flogging. There's a real beaver dam there, Australian beaver dam. All the flood debris piled up there. Got past the bridge somehow. So when this is in flood, this bridge would get inundated, debris coming over it, all that sort of thing. And it stood the test of time. Some awesome posts. Evidently this is a big old messmate that's been brought in from a long way down in the lower country. Nice durable hardwood. That would have been a fair feat because there's no vehicle tracks here. Well done, Kerry. Appreciate it. Us bushwalkers, this is awesome. Work of art. So we're on the Morocco Falls, Morocco Gorge walking track. And most people would only go into what's known as the first falls, the upper falls. It's a nice day walk, good spot to go, probably an hour or so in there, have a swim on a warm day. we won't be doing that today, I'll tell you that right now. And anyway, from there, well, there's no track basically. There historically was, but in the 2007 fires it all got burnt, so there's no fire there. There's no track there anymore, so it's considered off-track walking. Navigation required, so we're going to poke through there, get down into the Moroka Gorge itself, and then the plan is to camp down there tonight, find a spot big enough to throw the tent up. If all goes to plan, this afternoon we should have a bit of time to be able to explore further down the gorge, suss out these other waterfalls. It's probably been many years, pushing 40 years probably, since I was in there last. No doubt it's changed a little bit, but the falls will still be falls. Once upon a time I would have hurdled that. These boardwalks are really important protection that's been put in. This here is a peatland or alpine bog, sphagnum bog. There's all sorts of things going on. Other places not far from here, this would be an alpine fen, another version of this. But these are really vulnerable areas, and that's why they've put these boardwalks in, to prevent that trampling and people wandering everywhere and turning the whole thing into a hell of a mess. And the reason why we don't want to damage these is these are like the lungs of our water catchment. These just keep our water catchment alive. They filter all the water where all the whole watershed starts. They're vulnerable to weeds, they're vulnerable to pests like deer, wallowing. They're vulnerable to off-track driving. We've got to look after them. What goes on here affects the water that we're drinking at the other end of the system. Hence the boardwalk. Stick to them. Alpine bogs, peatland. They don't like fire either. And interestingly enough, they're actually getting more prone to fire, and they're burning more often these days because of a drying climate apparently.
It looks slippery.
Slippery rock. Here's another one of these boardwalks, like the bridge story back there with Kerry Dice. I happen to know quite well the story of this particular boardwalk, and particularly the transportation of the timber. Many years ago in a previous life, a fellow I know really well was involved in carting these timbers in, but they weren't a metre long then. They were, I don't know, 3-4 metre long timbers, and they were quite away from the car. And the story goes that two people, one in front of the other, 3 or 4 metres apart, would have one of these strung between the two of them under each arm and walk and walk and walk. And not only is it a fair way from the car, there's a lot of corners and ups and downs and trees and things that have to be manoeuvred around. And I guess the reason for me telling that story is that, you know, there's a lot goes into these walking tracks and vehicle tracks for that matter, that it's easy to take for granted. But yeah, a little bit of inside knowledge would tell us that there's a lot of hard work and toil that has been used to get little bits of infrastructure like this in place. And you know, this is years later now, they're still holding up, they're still durable, and it's great to be able to sort of, for those people that might have been involved in putting these things in, it'd be great for them to be able to see it this far down the track and how it's still holding up and doing its job, and ultimately protecting the country that we're lucky enough to be poking around in these days. Boardwalks, yeah, there's a place for them. How cool is this? It's good to actually get off the boardwalk. Yeah, horses for courses, really. Once you get up into this dry forest and into this sort of up and over the spurs and ridges, it's just naturally formed track. But I tell you, there's a few hills in there that you don't realise are there until you start punching up through them. But anyway, it's yeah, a little bit perspiring. We can just start here in the first waterfall. It's clearly not dry, so we just start descending down now. I don't think we'll be going for a swim, but the lad might be keen. I know the dad's not. And then, well, we might have a bite to eat there, a bit of scrogging or something, and then push on. Let's go and have a look at this waterfall. Even in the middle of summer, this is real cold in here. Anyway, this is what's called the top falls. Falls number 1, if you like. There's another 3. See how we go. We're going to try and get down the other 3. Camp down the river there somewhere. How good's this, eh? This is awesome. I wrote the river, I wrote the falls, I wrote the gorge. But the gorge really is a bit further down. You got long legs.
Oh. Although the track is a bit overgrown, it's still easy enough to follow.
From down under. Slippery under there. Try and get under there. Oh, jeez. It's a long way down for an old one. Oh, down even further. Oh, dear. Oh, I'm going to have to roll. Was this your idea? How cool is this? You feel the humidity down in here. It's unbelievable. Whew. It might not be the warmest of days, but it's certainly, I'm warm. Whew. I think it's quite steamy in here. There's been some moisture in the last few days, bit of rain, and whew, it's like a tropical rainforest. So as it's turned out, the old walking route, or the old walking track, is actually still fairly defined. And just back here a bit, there was a great example of some old rockwork benching that would have been put in, or when the walking track was constructed, whenever that was. And you can still see some of the old rockwork and, you know, the effort that's gone into it, to something that's effectively abandoned now. Doesn't get any maintenance at all these days. Off track or remote walking, navigation required. Look, but apart from the fact that it hasn't been cleared and there's a lot of debris across the track and it's scrubbed over here and there, it's actually pretty good. And it'd be a bloody lot harder if the track actually wasn't here in the first place. There's a couple of rock platforms here, isn't there? We're back at the river now, and oh, that was a fair slog. Anyway, this is the spot we're aiming for. There's a couple of rock platforms here. One just back there, one over there. Remnants of an old fireplace there. Another flat spot there. So I reckon we'll be able to make something work here for a campsite. I reckon though it's time for lunch, I think. And a drink, a cool drink. Pretty simple affair. Some crackers, a few toppings, tin of fish, bit of flavoured stuff, bit of bungo. What could go wrong? Well, what can go wrong? We had a nice big stick of cabana that only bought last night before we left, and it's off. That's very annoying. For a number of reasons, but it's off. I've carried it all this way. You can't eat it. Pretty good. Bit of a dip there with a bit of flavour. Packs a bit of punch actually. Bit of tinned salmon. Probably got a few K's in it.
Stand by the fire, your tiny hand in mine. You're 5 feet off the ground. You rest on my shoulder. The stars convey the light, so fragile in the night. In this moment, in this moment, forever be, forever be. In this moment, in this moment, forever be, forever be. The night fades like a whispered song as time rushes on. belong, fading now into a memory, a picture on the wall, a moment frozen not to fall. In this moment, in this moment, forever be, forever be. In this moment, in this moment, forever be, forever be. Forever be, forever be. In this moment, in this moment.
Really slippery here, unfortunately I didn't catch it on camera. The lad was walking across here and straight out, and this rock continues down in the water, and it was scrambling with his fingernails trying to get back up the rock. Yeah, let it go. It's only a little fall, there's a bigger one further down, but we're actually run out of time. It's taken us about an hour to get here, so we plan on camping. When we get back there, it'll be starting to get on a bit, the sun will certainly be down. I think for this trip, this is as far as we're going to be able to go. I didn't film too much coming along the river because it was that bloody hard going, and I realised I was nearly out of film, so I wanted to keep a bit until we got here. I think I've opened myself up there somewhere, opened my knee up. Anyway, we're at the gorge. I love this spot. Really need a whole day to go all right down through it and back up again. How'd you get over there? Fuck you, I haven't got a pack on. Ooh. You probably just leapt over that in a single bound, did you? I don't think I'd get under it. Look at that. That's on the ground, yeah? Yeah. Big log. Just going to throw the tarp up tonight. So, well, it's meant to be fairly clear weather. It'll get cold as will billy-o, but this is all just rock shelf here. I don't think we'll get a peg in. So by using the tarp, this gives us a bit more flexibility. We can use a few rocks. We'll throw the tarp up and see what we end up with. Not sure how strong that tree's going to be, but right. Should do. Just the truckers hitch and yeah, I'll be right. Mission stick. good thing about cutting firewood is you get warm twice, that's for sure. Once cutting and once burning. It's probably enough for us tonight. We're not cooking up anything particularly fancy tonight. We need a bit of boiling water and that's about it, I think. That was a bit of a big day.
It was.
I'm feeling it. I think we probably should have a billy on. A cuppa.
We definitely should have a billy on.
Even start thinking about dinner. Sun's all but gone. It's certainly gone here. There's just the last of the rays on the hill out the back there. A bit of noise from the river might keep us company tonight. It's not too loud. It's not like a thundering waterfall there. For a change. Anyway, we've got a little bit of firewood. Probably not going to be a late night, so we don't need a lot. We probably want a little bit of wood left for the morning. Cook our breakfast. Yeah, let's check back in at dinner time because we have got a gourmet spread like no other. Bit of an experiment tonight. We're trying a few things. Little walks like this, you can practice a few techniques. Try a bit of different tucker out. So you know that when you go on extended walk and you're relying on that tucker to be good, you don't find out the hard way. Ooh, that's getting a bit hot there. We've gone gourmet tonight. Buttered chicken. What is it? Backpacker's Pantry or something like that. One of those. Just add water, boiling water, which we've done. This is a twin, serves two, this one. Just add boiling water, no cooking required. How gourmet is that? Look at the packet, lots of fresh veggies. Probably none of them in here, but anyway. I'll just put it up here just to try and keep it warm. Because my experience with these things is they take about 10 minutes, if not more, to hydrate. If you haven't got them insulated or kept warm somehow, you just end up eating cold bloody stodge. So I've just got to make sure I don't burn the packet, which it shouldn't, because there's liquid in there. It shouldn't burn it where the liquid is anyway. And we're going to eat like kings tonight, I reckon. Butter chicken. 500 ml of boiling water into the packet, stir it up, wait 10 minutes. There you go. Butter chicken. Tastes alright, I sampled it. Seems to be half reasonable. Probably keep us going. Probably more ways than one.
Cup of tea time.
We'll have one last cup before turning in for the day. And we might have a little bit of a treat as well. What have we got, mate?
Chewy caramel Tim Tams.
Bit of pudding.
Where'd they all go? They're all gone.
Only Mum found them before we left. Alright, cheers. I think we'll have this and that'll probably see us done for the night. I'll catch you in the morning, I think. Morning. A wee bit fresh. Nice clear night though, bit of dew around. Condensation on the inside of the tarp. Otherwise, it's a pretty good night. Pretty good night indeed. The lad's still asleep. So the plan is to get a little fire going and cook up some breakfast. It's going to take a while, I think, for the sun to pop over the hills, given we're in such a deep valley here. Anyway, we'll go and get a little fire going, cook up some breakfast, get the billy on, of course. We only need a little fire this morning. It's enough to boil the billy a couple of times. Cook a little bit of breakfast. Certainly fresh. There's ice all over the top of the tarp this morning, so I didn't think we'd get a frost down in here, but we did. There's ice all over that log there. Is probably as good as it gets. English muffins with homemade marmalade and a cup of billy tea for breakfast. Maybe it's not the first cup we've had so far, but nonetheless, a cup of billy tea. English muffin, homemade marmalade. Maroka Gorge. Cracker of the day. Good, really. It's the little grill that I use for cooking the muffins on. It's an Alton, it used to be Alton Goods, I think it's just Alton now. Alton. They make this little titanium grill, great bit of kit, and it comes in a pack with a chopping board, all fits in there nicely. For many years I've been looking for something like this. And why was I looking for it? Because an old mate of mine, Norman, he introduced me to bushwalking many, many years ago. But Norm had this great little rack, if you like, grill, little handle and everything on it that he'd pull out. Norm would pull out a lot of stuff out of his pack. But anyway, he'd pull this thing out and we'd be able to cook our muffins on it. There'd be a queue because Norm was the only one that had one of these little grill rack things. Lightweight, packed up to next to nothing. And I was looking everywhere, could never find one, never, couldn't find it. Anyway, I spotted these Alton Goods titanium grills. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
What would you have called it?
Grill.
Grill? And I thought that's exactly what I need. It doesn't have the fancy fold-up handle like Norman used to have, but I think Norman's still got it actually. Anyway, I spotted that. That's perfect. That's what we want. So, Alton Goods. Alton. Nice little bag for it to fit in. Folds up next to nothing. Hasn't got a fancy reflective thing. I don't know why, but anyway, it has. Fits in next to nothing. In your pack. Weighs nothing. And it's awesome. I mean, you throw a bit of meat on the fire, cook a snag, cook your muffins, whatever. Even just to create a stable surface to put your pot on. Rest it between a couple of logs like we did for cooking our muffins. Sit your pot on or anything that might be a little bit wonky. Yeah, I can't remember what it costs, but it doesn't matter. If it does what you need it to do and there's no alternative, then it's good value. So thanks Norman for putting us on to something like that. He didn't put us on to the Elton one, but he put us on to the idea many, many years ago. And to this day, Norman's still putting us on to handy hints and tricks when it comes to camping in the bush. Go on you, Norm.
Oh. Whew. It's no bigger. Oh, can I get up yet? Oh, tell you what, it's no easier coming back. I don't know what the climb is, but it's a couple hundred metres at least elevation gain. Straight out of camp this morning. It's tough. Then you've got to crawl under these sorts of things. Where else would you want to be though? There's the river down there. Nearly back to that top waterfall. It's been a fair slog. I don't think I'm up for a swim when we get to the waterfall, but we might have a bit of a splash, cool off while it's eating a drink. But it's been a great walk this morning. Climbing most of the way, ups and overs. Anyway, motor on. Since camp this morning, the elevation gain we have made is about 140 metres. We started at 930 metres and we are now at 1,003 metres, with the highest point of 1,078 metres.
Get much better than this. Cup of tea, overlooking a waterfall, Out here, on our own, no one else around. Cracker of a day. Bordering on perfect actually. Well, that was a fair slog. It's hard keeping up with the long legs of the lad these days. Anyway, we're just about back at the cars. It's probably the end of that one. What do you reckon? How was that?
Awesome, yeah.
Bit of new country.
Don't see that very often, do you?
No, it was good. No, it was very good. We enjoyed it. The weather was perfect. Great campsite. Good walking actually. Great waterfalls. That was a perfect package, I reckon.
Yep.
So we're nearly back at the car now. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'd certainly appreciate it if you could share amongst your contacts. It sort of helps us get the channel out there, get it known. So if you can do that for us, that'd be awesome. Don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button. If you have already hit the subscribe button, don't do it again, because that'll unsubscribe you. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. Look after yourself. We'll see you next time. Catch ya.